As the leader of the Booner pack, I lead from the front.
All right, boys. Lock in.
It's our core foundation, man. Grit.
I'm fired up. I'm fired the fuck up, boys.
It's pumping right now. It's got my juices pumping, boys.
All right, we are live. Postgame show, Detroit Lions, Tennessee Titans. I mean, the final scores are relevant. They whooped their ass.
Yeah.
I mean, what was it, 52-17?
14.
I gave them 17. Lions dominated basically from that early second quarter beyond. I mean, the first quarter looked a little more closer, but with the help of the special teams unit, the offense scoring, even though they got a lot of short fields, they still did what they were supposed to do today, Caleb, and that's whoop a bad team's ass. And not just beat them by, 20. They put up 50, and none of us had 50 on any of our score predictions. So
yeah, we did. I know Tennessee's a bad team. Tennessee's a bad team. We didn't take them lightly.
But a good defense.
Really good defense. We didn't take them lightly. We beat the shit out of them today, and that's exactly what I wanted to see. The score started, I think it was 14-14. I swear not 1 ounce of me was worried about it. I knew we were the better team from the jump. We got things done in front of the home fans. Got a big game next week. But yeah, this is a huge win. And you look at the box scores. One of the weirdest football games I've ever watched in my life, Jeff. I mean, you get 80 passing yards from your quarterback and you score 52 points. Your all-pro receiver has 2 catches for 7 yards and a touchdown. You have a running back with 10 carries, 130 yards. That's 13 yards a carry. Is my math correct on that?
I mean, that's correct.
Okay. Yeah. And yeah, the big win for the Lions. And yeah, like I said, it had all the makings of a trap game, and I just knew from the jump that wasn't going to be the case. And big W.
I honestly, and we had like I said before, our own score predictions there. That to me was probably the most impressive special teams performance I've seen in years. I mean, credit to Dave Phipp, credit to Leaf being as great of a punt returner as he is. Today was unbelievable. And you could see the coaching staff on the Tennessee Titans sideline, what is going on?
Yeah.
Khalif Raymond, he's getting the oxygen mask. That's how, I mean, and then Khalil Dorsey, got to give credit to him. He had a big game as well. Offense, Jared Goff didn't have to do a lot today. He got beat up. I will say the offensive line, specifically Taylor Decker, did not have a great game. Arden Key was all over Jared Goff, and this defensive line was all over him. He got hit a lot. But you knew this defense was going to be good.
Yeah.
It was nice to see the offense get somewhat of a drive late because I felt they didn't really have an opportunity to get in rhythm because they had 3-4 play drives to score. They were on the 30-yard line multiple times. But the thing is, the Titans team, yeah, they were gonna beat this team by a lot. They were gonna cover the spread. It's next week against the Packers, and the Packers right now have the lead by a touchdown as we speak right now over the Jacksonville Jaguars. I know Jordan Love went out, but that's the team you got to prepare for. That's gonna be a 6-2 team, 6-1 team.
Yeah.
I think the Lions are now.
Mm-hmm.
That's gonna be the big matchup. You already took down undefeated Vikings. Now you go on to another really good team in the NFC North.
Yeah, and you talk about the Vikings having a good defense. There might be a guy on that defensive line that might just end up staying in Detroit. And Harold Landry. I know they said they didn't want to trade Jeffrey Simmons, which I don't understand why. If you watch that Tennessee football team, there's no reason why a guy like Jeffrey Simmons should be on it. They should trade him for picks. That's a bad football team. Tennessee, you don't got a great football team. I apologize, but you're not very good. Landry.
Yep.
That would be a great addition to the Lions defensive line, especially against. I know Jordan Love went out with an injury, but it was just a groin, and you don't know. He might play next week. But if we have to play, even Malik Willis, who could move, we're gonna need some help on that defensive line.
They do.
Yeah, zero, really, nothing from the defensive line today. Pressure wise, we only had 1 sack, correct? I got to double check that.
No, it was 1 sack. From what I remember, I mean, that was the only sack was from their linebackers. Last 5 sacks they've had, 4 sacks are linebackers.
Yeah, and
that's just the reality.
And it came from Anzo, and and sometimes it's a recipe for disaster. When you gotta send 6 and you gotta send your linebackers, especially with a young corner like Terrion Arnold. But yeah, man, let's find a way to keep Harold Landry in Detroit. Don't fly him back to Tennessee.
No, I mean, they're going to have to get someone. Today, in the secondary, the reason why they were getting cooked so much, guys, in the first half was because of the lack of pass rush. I mean, you had Mason Rudolph, and we did this last time with the Vikings. Mason Rudolph, how much time did he have to throw early on in the game? And they were getting pressure, but That's why I always say, like, pressures do matter to some extent. But there's times where, let's say Mason Rudolph's pressured and he still has a 30-yard completion to Calvin Ridley. Are we going to say that mattered? Even though the completion was, you know what I'm saying? So sacks are the biggest measurement of how good your defensive line is.
Yeah.
And they didn't do that today. And he passed over 30 times and he had 1 sack on the day. And that was from Anzalone. They had the most pressure when they blitzed 6, Caleb, but like you talked about earlier and you mentioned, you can't do that every single game. There's going to be times where, you got to trust in the 4 you send. And right now, there's no way in hell you're trusting the 4 they have now. They need more on the edge.
Yeah, and they didn't do a good job at stopping the run today as well.
No,
Tony Pollard 20 for 94, but that just shows like how well coached this team is, because there were a lot of drives where the Titans were driving down the field and it just that bend don't break mentality from Aaron Glenn. They only gave up 14 points. I mean, this is and the notable one was, this was, I mentioned it a couple times. That was some of the worst play calling I've ever seen by Callahan, throwing the ball 4 times in a row at the 1 yard line when you have a timeout left going into the half. You would like a touchdown there to make it 35-21, which still, it's a 2-possession game, but you would like to come away with points there. But that bend don't break mentality for the Lions, it's been big all year, especially today, holding Tennessee to 14. And I'm going to say this again, Jeff. This is, I'm looking at the box score, kind of like looking at everything for the first time since the game ended. This is such an odd game. Just.
I'll tell you one right now. They scored 52 and they only ran 47 offensive plays.
Yeah.
are we gonna what the hell?
Yeah. That's just that. Shout out to the special team. Shout out for the defense for winning the turnover battle. Kirby Joseph, Nowaski. With interceptions to get us in plus territory. Khalif Raymond with a return touchdown. Khalif Raymond with another big return to get us in the red zone, or at least close to it. Khalil Dorsey, the same thing. It's like we just everything. It was just the perfect football game on special teams and offensively. Defense, there's obviously stuff to work on, but you only gave it 14 points. You did what you had to do to win.
Yep.
And that just keep it going. Tough game next week. It's the big challenge against. Malik Willis is slinging it right now for the Packers.
And they're probably going to win this thing by a field goal.
Yeah.
Or a touchdown if they score. The division's great. And we're going to see tonight. The Commanders and Bears are about to square off in a little bit here. 4:25, I think they kick off. You'll see what happens with the Bears. But this division, like these wins, this is where the Booners came in drenched in Kool-Aid. But every win's going to matter at this point. It just is. And no Hutch, Josh Uche, even if he's a Lion, all right, I'll take it. Yeah. I don't even give a damn at this point.
Healthy scratch this week.
I'll take it. Yeah, healthy scratch. I try not to look into too much of that type of stuff, but today I'm desperately looking into it. I need it. We need a move here from Brad. It has to happen this week. Whether it's Josh Uche, whether it's Zadarius Smith, there's going to be other teams trying to get him as well.
Yeah.
Go get the fucking guy.
Get him. It was fun talking about Max Crosby. But now we know. Not going to happen yesterday. What's his name? Al Davis. I apologize.
Yep.
Al Davis sends an email to everybody on the Raiders staff and Adam Schefter saying they're not trading Max Crosby at the deadline or after the deadline. That would have been really cool. But yeah, you're
left with rotational pieces essentially.
Yeah, but anything will do.
Or role players,
anything,
which is fine.
Anything we'll do right now. And, I know I give a lot, kind of as a whole, I think we do give a lot of shit to these edge rushers, but look, they're all kind of learning. None of them have really had, a full-time starting position in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
So, they're still learning. They're going to get better. But man, you're going for a Super Bowl this year. You gotta do something for that defensive line. But yeah, again, it's kind of the same as last week. Like, huge wins, like great wins, but there's negatives in every win.
Yeah, there is. There is, and I think for this game, the negatives has to be to me the secondary, at least the pass rush that's led to the secondary getting cooked. I think that's just the obvious, and I'm not going to throw AG out of the bus like it's all his fault. I think it's just personnel. You're as good as what you have, and you're as good as the players you have, essentially, for the most part, and. I just think Isaiah Thomas, he played a ton of snaps today. I didn't see Isaac Ukwu out there a lot. Yeah, no. Well, I didn't see a lot of Isaac Ukwu, but I saw James Houston and he looked like James Houston.
Yeah.
That's if you get what I'm picking up, what I'm putting down there.
Pat O'Connor was out there.
Pat O'Connor, you know what? He played last week as well. So, it is what it is. Pouncer says it's the best division record through week 7 in NFL history. Let's see. Steve-O, Malik Willis is better than people think. He was just in Tennessee. He was Tennessee just sucks.
Yeah.
He was better than people thought he was. Tennessee just sucks.
Yeah. Every division game we have matters now because they're all going to be in playoff contention. Chicago is 4-2. They have a tough game today against Washington, but the Packers are about to win. They're going to be 6-2.
I'm sure Brad was sitting on the sideline. They're up 40. He's just watching Packers film.
Yeah.
He's just like, you know what? Boys, let's just start planning. Let's just start prepping. Streams only says, nah, it's the secondary. Arnold is toast.
But it's tough when they're not getting to the quarterback. Like, that's tough for a young corner.
Yeah.
Like, he has struggled, yeah, but like every young corner does. He's like, he's the only one that really didn't to start was Sauce Gardner.
Yeah.
In recent memory, that was really good from day one.
Yeah.
Terran Arnold was a first-round pick for a reason. He's going to get better. I have all the confidence in him. He's a great athlete, and he'll be fine. He said tough matchup. Like, Calvin Ridley's no slouch. Like, he's been a good receiver in the NFL.
Oh, yeah, he's good.
And he's had tough matchups the whole year. Justin Jefferson, the tandem in Tampa Bay, Cooper Kupp and Puka. Like, he's had tough matchups all year. And I'm not going to lie. I thought this week might be his get right game. It turned out it wasn't. But like I said, Calvin really is no slouch.
And that's why the secondary today, it was concerning. I mean, Amik had 2 forced fumbles, but he got burnt by a huge play early in the game. Next week, you're going to have that plethora of wide receivers. I mean, Jaden Reed, Romeo Dobbs, Christian Watson. He's not hurt, is he? Is he playing? I think he's playing. But they got Tucker Kraft. They got some good tight ends. And I mean, they just have a ton of weapons in Green Bay. So the status of Jordan Love is going to probably matter. They just won on a kicked field goal, game-winning field goal. Brandon McManus.
All right. Big dub for the Lions. I'm going to give it off to Klotzy here. Big dub. Onto the Packers next week.
Yeah, open up a can and we'll pass next week. Shout out Caleb, man. He's been fucking crushing.
I love you, Sam Laporta.
Yeah, Sam Laporta, national tight end.
Sam Laporta got Caleb right back on the right streak.
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
that's all good. Don't worry about it. I get it.
What do we think, boys? I mean, a hell of a battle today. Won by 40. So
hell of a battle. Hell of a Kool-Aid
battle.
jug Booner just put on. Make sure you go check out the social a little bit for that.
It
but
was
hey,
an elite
boys,
performance.
I will say, defense worried me a little bit, especially with the Packers coming into town. But it looks like Jordan Love re-aggravated his groin. So even if he plays, he's not going to be 100% next week. And I'm starting it out a little negative. Brad's got to make a move. I know it's 52-14 against a bad team, but when you're playing these playoff caliber teams, great win offensively. Jared Goff didn't have to do much. Special teams look great. But go and make a move, Brad. I think if a quarterback like Mason Rudolph is looking like that, I am scared to see what they look like against the Jordan Loves, the CJ Strouds coming down the stretch. So you gotta go out and get somebody on this edge because even the run game's looking a little suspect. I know it's kind of negative coming off of 52-14, but we all expect the Detroit Lions to go out there and blow out the Tennessee Titans. I did not expect this run defense the way that it did. I mean, I know Tony Pollard's a playmaker, but the way that he was running through tackles, just the whole Tennessee Titans team was just running through tackles. That's got to be able to stop. This defense has got to get together. And like you said earlier, Jeff, it's not an AG thing. Like these players are in the right spot. They're just not finishing the tackles, allowing for more yards after contact. Yeah. So going into Green Bay next week, you don't have Tony Pollard. You have to go against Josh Jacobs, who's coming off 2 touchdowns in a big game in Jacksonville. They're about to go kick the game-winning field goal right now. So Green Bay, they got some momentum. We've seen them win with Malik Willis or Jordan Love. Malik Willis just led a game-winning drive a second ago. So the quarterback play is going to be improving. Lions offense and special teams got to play the same way, but defense has got to step it up.
Yeah, would I be crazy to say it's not just one edge? They might need 2.
Yeah.
They might need 2.
Honestly, guys, so first thoughts, I mean, this game, obviously, this was like it's a tough game to stay up for because you're up by 40 the whole time and you're trying to figure your way out. I think some of the positives of this whole thing, though, guys, like let's just call it what it is. You go out there and you dominated a game with your MVP quarterback only having what, 80?
Under 100 yards,
80 yards, and you were able to go out there and put up 50 plus points, and that's not like, that's why I do take a lot out of this. Like, I know the defensive line, you need a ton to be able to kind of get this thing turned around. But when you kind of break it down realistically, like, you now know that you can rely on your special teams. At times, you can rely on your defense. Whether the pass rush isn't there, you can rely on turnovers. Like, you're a team now in the past that you weren't able to create turnovers. Guess what you do now? You create turnovers, and that puts your team, like you saw today. What was the time of possession? I mean, in the third quarter, guys. I don't even care about the whole game. In just the third quarter, at one point in the third quarter when Jared Goff was out there, you had 11 minutes time of possession. 11 minutes. Like, that's, I don't know how many points did the Lions win by.
It would have been like 38, I think.
Yeah, they dominated.
Should I have not put that?
It's the same thing.
Is that okay that I put that?
Yeah, it's fine.
40 points?
Yeah, I mean, unless there's going to be some people that are like technically.
Yeah, I'll switch it. All right, I'm gonna switch this real quick. You guys, boys, keep going.
Yeah, I think they got to go get 2 edges, man. I don't even think it's just.
I just don't think the likelihood of them bringing in 2 at least difference makers, like maybe they'll get a Zadarius
like
Smith
Zadarius and like another body, like Josh.
They might do that. I don't like even like Josh. I see him bringing in like a Zadarius and like another Isaiah Thomas, if anything. I'm with you. Like, I hope they go get 2 of those type of guys, but I don't see Brad spending it on 2 picks.
I just don't know if Zadarius is he's the kind of like.
He's not. Like, I don't think it, like, even if they bring in 2 players, like, I don't think it's going to be like, oh, this defensive line's fine.
But at least you're getting closer to, like,
I get what you're saying.
Something. I get Zadarius is a good. He's better than what they have.
Hopefully bring back Josh Pascal. They were without him today, so hopefully that's a big difference maker.
True. You have just, Zadarius and Josh.
The only thing, like, the thing with this win is, like, when the Dallas Cowboys blow teams out, that's what it looks like. There's Kevontae Turpin's making a huge play in special teams. They're constantly setting up Dak for short yardage.
Yeah.
That's why it's like, okay, now you got a legitimate team coming in next week. That's why it's like, this win's great. But I'm not, like, wavering the way that I was feeling going into that game based off of 52-14 win. That's why it's like, okay, great win, but this is what you kind of expected. You're not leaving this game like, oh, now we know this. Now we know this. Like, the Lions look great on all 3 phases they have over the course of this year. Like, Jake Bates hitting not extra points, field goals to win games, while the offense and defense have looked great. Like, they've had games where all 3 phases look great. But the defense, I think this was the worst performance of the year, even though they only allowed 14 points.
I think there was 2 things with the defense. Sorry, I just elbowed you. I think there's 2 things with the defense. The first thing was the pass rush. I think that's so obvious. Like, Mason Rudolph had all the time in the world, and you were never able to get home outside of Alex Anzalone. And then the second thing was just Calvin Ridley. Like, it was just the Calvin Ridley thing. Like, if you can't.
That dude Westbrook.
Yeah,
dude.
you just can't give up. Like, your DBs, your corners, like, they were just like Terrion was getting cooked at times. Carlton, I know he had the turnover. He at times was getting cooked. Like, you can't have that. Amik at times, like Amik had played. He played some good things, but like him at the same. So it's just, you have to figure out to. Next week, you're going up against Jaden Reed. You're going up against Dontavian Wicks. Who else?
Romeo
Dobbs, Christian Watson. I don't know if he's not injured or not. Tucker Kraft.
Laugh at Tucker
Josh
Kraft now,
Jacobs out of the backfield. You're going up against a really good football team. And I know we've seen that. Like, guys, we saw it versus the Vikings last week without Aiden Hutchinson in the pass rush, and they were able to win a game with Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. So, like, I know, and Aaron Jones, like, I know they can handle it. You just have to tighten things up a little bit. You have to tighten things up. They still only gave up 14 points today, and they found a way. Like, the one thing I love with AG a little bit is, like, as much as people say sometimes they don't feel like they don't make adjustments. It did feel like in the second half the adjustments were made and the defense stepped up and they figured something out. I don't know what they did differently, but they dominated in the second half defensively as well, and they got more turnovers and they got more stops, and they had they were like, how many 3-and-outs in the second half was there before they ended up taking the
0 points
out?
in that second half.
Yeah. So they made adjustments, which I love that. They did make the adjustments.
Yeah, and to the, what we were talking about, me and Caleb earlier, with this offense, like, at least the end of the game, they got into a rhythm a little bit, but they didn't really have to do much, which is great. I mean, I think that's a good thing. Your special teams unit's that dominant to where, like, you're having 20-yard drives to score.
Not something you can rely on, though.
Yeah, true. Like, against the Packers, it's not. You better coach teams, better players, not going to happen. But the thing, how Jared was getting beat up today, I'm just glad they took him out when they did.
Yeah, he was.
Arden Key had like 2.5 sacks, I think, 2 sacks.
Yeah, Taylor Decker
bunch of
didn't have the
pressures.
best showing. He'll bounce back, though.
Yeah, I do think he will. I'm just interested to see the offensive line. did struggle a little bit
At
today.
least, yeah, the left tackle they did for sure. I don't know, maybe the interior a little bit. Jeffrey Simmons did get kind of.
Yeah, he had a couple plays.
Yeah.
That's
So
Jeffrey Simmons, though.
Next
those good
week,
players.
yeah,
Kenny Clark.
You have to figure this out by next week because, like, we're talking about
It's your boy.
offensively. Kenny Clark, you have
Yeah.
Rashawn Gary.
Rashawn Gary.
You have some dudes on
Lucas
that.
Van Ness.
Yeah, there we go. There's another one.
Dogs, Devontae Wyatt. Hey, Quay Walker coming. Can always count on unsportsmanlike conduct
Yep.
play out of Quay Walker.
My punch
When
a
you
trainer.
need it the most, too.
Push a trainer.
Something like that.
Get kicked out. Never know. You never know. Yeah, it feels good. It feels good, boys. I mean, it's just it's fun. It's fun covering it. It's not as juicy. We don't have these intense conversations. Like they just beat a team by 38. It's kind of like, yeah, that's what it is. What it is. There's not much to like take away from that, except for the secondary. They just stomped a bad team. They did what they're supposed to do. That's a great.
It was too. And
That's a great.
I'll stand. That was the definition of what a trap game is supposed to be. I've said it all week. Like that's for any other NFL team. That is like this is a trap week game.
Mm-hmm.
But for the Detroit Lions, when you're the best team in the NFL, it's the farthest thing because you just beat up on these teams. Like when a Tennessee Titans comes into the town, you dominate them, especially in Detroit. Like they had no chance. They had no chance to win this football game from the jump. I'm looking ahead on now. Like the Packers just won.
Mm-hmm.
You're looking ahead now. It's like, all right, I think Brad Holmes, I said it on, I think I was at Tuesday, guys.
Yeah.
I said within the next 7 days that Brad Holmes will have a new defensive lineman in Allen Park. And it was going to have, it has to be by Tuesday at midnight. You have to go out and get, it doesn't, I'm not saying that's the NFL rule, but if you want him to be ready and kind of in the building for Green Bay, you want him in the building, the trade to be done by Tuesday. So Wednesday, he's in the building working with the defense. He's working with AG and he's figuring that out. And I think you need it for Green Bay. You do.
Yeah, because guys, the way Tony Pollard ran at times, you have Josh Jacobs who just had a $130 today.
Even like Elijah Wilson behind him's no slouch either.
They got a good offensive line.
Is it not odd to you guys though? Like this is the thing with that. They were like the defensive line gave you something last week with I guess no Josh Pascal, but they gave you something last week versus the Vikings. Like it wasn't like terrible, but it was like obviously we could have had more pressure.
Yeah, and Aaron Jones had almost 100 yards.
The first, that's fair, I guess. Yeah,
it
just felt like the first half of the day looked worse than last week.
They got like stops last week, like late, but this week it was only the first like 2 quarters. After that, it was an ass whooping. They had the turnovers and everything, but yeah, you just saw the flashes. It was like against Sam Darnold, they couldn't get pressure. Guys are making plays. It's just like. But they had turnovers.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, that's going to be the staple on defense. Just get turnovers, man.
They got to find it. Like, even like you said, Trevor. Like, Malcolm's been stepping up. I know he got hurt, but the guys that
that's a
rotationally, like, they got to keep making plays. Kirby and Brian, they got to keep getting an interception and force some fumbles. Alex Anzalone and Jack Campbell got to stop missing tackles. Both of them are missing a good amount today. Mm-hmm. Next week, you can't be doing that.
All right. I want to ask you guys a question. Like, this is like a look ahead for the season.
All right.
And we could probably actually do this as a topic this week, but I also want to get you guys' thoughts today. The Lions, the Chiefs are 6-0, and they obviously, I don't know if they have a bye week today or if they play. I'm not 100% sure on that. They might have a bye, but the Lions are 6-1, the best team in football right now.
Mm-hmm.
We all gave out, I think I gave out my score or my record prediction at 13 wins at the beginning of the season. I think Klotzy, I think you and Jeff went 12. I think you guys were at 11 and then we went to 12. Did you come to 13?
No, I was at 12 and I converted
13. What did you do?
I did 13.
Okay, so we were all at 13. Where do we stand on that? Because you have the Packers and the Texans, right? And then you have the Jag. Like I'm just looking at the season as a whole here. Because you're 6-1. You're through 7 football games and you only have 1 loss. You're almost halfway. After next week, you're halfway through the season essentially.
Okay.
So we feeling pretty good about the 13. Like,
yeah.
Could they hit? And this is just me. Like, say they beat the Packers and they beat the Texans. You're sitting there at 8-1. You have the Jags, Colts, Bears, and then Packers again. Bills, Bears, 49ers. Like, can this Lions team hit 14 wins?
I mean, they definitely can. I just think that's why it goes back to the conversation that we had. Even if they don't get that edge rusher, they're still going to probably be the number 1 seed in the NFC North. And very well, if that happens, the number 1 seed in the NFC. And I think they're on track. But when it comes down to like scripted games when something like that, divisional round, NFC Championship, Super Bowl, that's where I think you're going to really miss Aiden Hutchinson because the teams are just simply better and the quarterback play. Overall, teams are better. So I think regular season-wise, I know they lost Aiden Hutchinson, a lot of pieces on that front seven.
Yeah.
Everything's still on the table because how good they are offensively. Like, there's not an offense outside of, I would say maybe Houston, but they just lost Stephon Diggs, looked like, for a little bit of time. Nico Collins
goes
on IR.
out.
There's not an offense that is better. You could maybe say Green Bay, but I'm not even going to give them that because Jordan Love's banged up. I do think they still split with Green Bay, whether it's in Lambeau or at home. I think they split with Green Bay. I could see them potentially dropping to the Bills, but I really don't even see that happening. They probably have
2 losses max left on the schedule.
I think they, like I said, they split with Green Bay. Houston, I think they're going to beat with the injuries they're facing right now. Jacksonville, they're going to win. Indy, they're going to win. The Bears, they'll split with. So there's 2 losses right there. And then it comes down to the Vikings and 49ers. And I think they could very well sweep both of those two, especially last week or last year with how the 49ers ended.
Yeah.
They're going to be a 13-14 win team.
I think they have a chance at 14-15. Okay, guys.
I don't think so.
Jeff,
I don't think so.
Listen, the game today, like Jared Goff didn't play. He barely passed the ball. Your defense, I know it's the Titans. If we were like it was the Titans and they only won by 2 scores, they did like the defense played the way they did. Jared Goff passed for 80 yards and you beat them by 40. It wasn't like you just went out and beat them by 20.
Yeah, they're a great team.
You beat them by 40. You beat the brakes off of them. Like they find a way. Like any matchup they have, like versus Green Bay, they're gonna find a way to win the game. Like that's just like the Dan Campbell. Like if they have to run the ball 30, 40 times, they'll do it. If they have to pass the ball 30 times, they'll do it. I don't know. I just feel like I can't see them losing. I could see 2 losses on their schedule the rest of the way.
So here's my thing.
Max.
I would be more confident about 15 wins if they had Hutch. Okay. I just think that's going to come back to steal.
Well, we're talking about 13-14 though.
Yeah. Well,
let's say 14. Let's go 14.
Well, we said 13-14. Now we're talking about 15.
Let's do 14. Let's do 14.
Okay,
I think because that's
so
2 more losses. You're halfway through the year. You have next week would be like halfway through the season essentially. After next week, you only have one. Like
you still have Bills, Texans, Packers twice, Vikings another time, Bears twice. Who else they face?
But we're saying this, but we also were like they have these teams like.
Well, they have the Titans. Like they whoop their ass. But I'm talking about like Bills. Like I thought the Bills were
so
good.
They are, but I think the Lions. The thing with the Lions is they just find a way to win. They don't care how they win. Their only goal in this world. Dan wouldn't mind if you ran for if you had 10 total yards. If there was just a way they found a way to just come out with a win. Like that's the difference I think from this team and any other team in the NFL right now is other teams like their offense needs to do this, their defense needs to do like the Lions do. They go into a game and they're just like, dude, all we need to do if special teams wins us this game, we're gonna do it through that. If the defense does it, we're gonna do it through that. Like those are tough teams, Jeff. But the game plans that these guys have been putting together, it's hard, dude. It is tough to beat them.
You need this offense. Okay. You need this offense to be perfect. So
damn near.
No turnovers.
What are we shaking about? I didn't even make a bet.
I don't know. Gentlemen shake.
I don't even know what we're shaking
If you
about.
want 15 wins, you need this
14.
offense to average 35 a game, no turnovers the rest of the year.
I mean, 13 was the preseason prediction, but I wouldn't be shocked if we leave 14-3.
I'm joking. But the reason why I'm saying that is you're going to face good defenses. This offense is going to struggle at times. There's going to be a game where they struggle. It's just how it works. Remember the Bears game last year? Jared Goff had a couple turnovers. You need your defense to get pressure and get a stop and multiple stops.
Yeah.
And they just I haven't seen that yet. Like the last 2 games, like today, it's a fucking Titans. The Vikings, you won what, 20 or 32-29? Was it 31-29?
31-29.
Like you're going to have those games where it could go either way. And I get it. That means you're only allowing 2 losses the rest of the schedule.
I don't see it's that crazy. Guys, the Bucs game,
I had 13,
the Bucs game, they were in the red zone 8 times
15.
and didn't get it once. They didn't score. Think about if they scored once in the red zone. The Lions are 7-0 right now, and they're beating teams 52-14, 31-29, 47-9, 42-29. Like, how many points have they scored in their last 4 games? I'm gonna do the
They're
math.
averaging like 40 a game.
This is crazy. Like
that's what the average.
I think this offense is good enough to get you to 13-14 wins through the regular season, but it's not like with that. And okay, it's like okay, now let's suit up again and play a whole different type of season in December and January in the playoffs. That's where I think the problems will lie. But through the rest of the schedule, like I think this offense is good enough to win 13-14 games.
43 games are averaging over the last 4 games. 43 points per game.
Yeah, it is kind of.
That is
Not
insane,
even kinda
guys.
nuts, it is nuts.
And this offense just doesn't. And think like on top of that, that's with Amon-Ra a couple 30-yard games. That's with Jared Goff 80 yards today. Like it's.
Yeah, I mean
I just see it very possible that they can go like
I
they
mean, I'm
have
not gonna
one
like
loss.
argue to death with you because I have
Fair.
13, so you're going 14.
I have
but, like,
13 still. That's my like.
yeah, I'm not gonna like fight
preseason.
over one win. I just think there's gonna be some games in here that they're gonna drop. Like and it's not a bad thing. It's just
Yeah.
I think there's just gonna be a day where you don't have it on the road. Now, I don't think they go 16-1. So
Now there is a chance too. Like think about if we do get the playoffs, Klotzy, and I don't know what the chances are with this. Like the commish thing, Josh Kaminsky, like he was supposed to have an opportunity to come back this season at the end of the year.
Later on.
don't let him come in the Super Bowl.
I don't know the extent.
Game
And if
wrecker.
someone in the chat knows this, and this may be something that we should know, but the Marcus Davenport injury, I don't know if that's something to where in the playoffs he could return. I don't know how bad that was. And like Kyle Petco, I don't know. He tore his pec. I guess he tore it late in the season, and CJ Garner-Johnson did it game 2.
Yeah.
So that is a difference. But like you're gonna get potentially a couple of guys to return, which is big time. Iffy, hopefully back for that run. Like you're gonna have pieces that do come back, and whoever you trade for. So I don't think it's that. I can't wait.
Yeah, I mean,
I love this team, man.
they're a great team. They're the best team in the NFC right now. I mean, even the Eagles are starting to win, but I wish they played the Eagles this year.
So do I.
That'd be a great
I think they
game.
dog walk the Eagles
I would
too.
love to see that game. But the number 1 seed is alive and well, boys. Get the number 1 seed in the NFC, but just win that division first. But hey, I cannot wait for this game next week. The Packers game's going to be electric, and they're on the road. We know what happened last year in Lambeau. That was the pre-Jordan Love starting to break out, and we'll see if he even plays with the groin injury. You might get Malik Willis. Lions fans, select Lions fans, may be happy.
Possibly.
You know,
I'd
just
honestly
just to see the great Malik Willis play
Well,
ball. A lot of fans out here in Detroit.
there's a part of me that would rather almost see Jordan Love just because you have like game plan film against him. Like Malik Willis, you don't really know what they're going to throw out there. And he's a little bit more. I think either way, like Jordan Love, obviously a better quarterback,
Yeah,
but Malik Willis, just his mobility.
But you could simulate that with Hendon Hooker, probably, right?
Maybe.
What is he
Yeah,
like?
I-
Who is Malik?
I don't know, but he's a little bit more athletic than I get your point though.
Okay, that's fair. All right. Anything else, boys, before we close it out here? I mean, this
big week
ass
coming up.
whooping. I kind of like these games, but I like, hey, next week it won't be the same result. Like
How
this.
are we?
I don't think so.
The chat before we go. Any questions or anything in the chat? We'll let the chat speak here. It was this was a weird.
let's see.
This is a weird Sunday. I will say that it's a weird Sunday because typically, like next week's going to be fun. And by the way, too, shout out to our sponsors, Real American Beer,
Shout out to him.
sponsor of our Sunday programming
Absolutely.
too. We will next Sunday, I believe, we'll be in Grand Rapids at the Garage, I believe it's called, doing our pregame show or watch party or our postgame show. We'll be there probably all day long until with the games at 4:20, 4:25. We'll probably be there until like 9 or 10 p.m. Doing our postgame show and all of that. So make sure you guys, if you're in the Grand Rapids area, the west side of the state, plan to come watch the game at the Garage and in Grand Rapids. That'd be a fun time. I've never been there before, so I'm excited.
Yeah, me either.
I'm excited. I've been to Grand Rapids a couple times. I've never been to the Garage. I know I have some people out there, so maybe some people you guys Booner knows will be there. The Booner Path does lead through Grand Rapids this season. That's what I'm talking about. We're going to Grand Rapids. We're taking Crunch Time in the Booner Path internationally next week.
Internationally.
Technically, like 3 hours away. I love it.
Going on a
Hey,
world
I love
tour,
it, though.
Boone.
Technically,
There's
right?
Pam Oliver. All right.
Pam Oliver talking
There
to
she is.
Kirko.
Alrighty, boys.
All right. Hey, what a day. What a day. Detroit Lions.
Hell of a day. Hell of a
Detroit
day. Good win.
Lions.
We'll be back Monday, guys. Tune in 8 p.m. to 10 p.m.
Don't miss it.
Live show. Be there. Be ready.
They're going to say
gonna
be
be a-
square.
You can be square too. Hey, why not? All right. We'll catch you guys. Till then.
Love you guys. Booner Path, Lions, best team in the NFL. Jared Goff, MVP.
See ya.
Peace.